In the heart of Lagos Island, beneath the rising sun and the ceaseless rush of yellow Danfo buses, lived a woman known far and wide, not for her wealth, but for her warmth. Her name was Mama Ifeoma, a widow of over 2 decades, with hands hardened by years of kneading dough and a voice that could calm even the rowdiest customer at Balogun Market. Mama Ifeoma had a stall, or rather, a makeshift table shaded by a large blue umbrella near the BRT terminal. There she sold golden, steaming loaves of bread every morning, soft agege bread with crusts that could make your heart sing. Her bread wasn't just popular because of taste, it was infused with kindness, and everyone knew it. Her bread stall wasn't just a place to buy food. It was a hub of laughter, life lessons, and unsolicited advice. If someone cried at the bus stop, Mama Ifeoma had a slice of bread and a proverb for the pain. If two agberos fought, she would scold them like a mother hen, often while tossing a piece of chin-chin their way. But the most touching thing about Mama Ifeoma was her rule: no child should go hungry. It didn't matter how many loaves she sold or how much debt she owed the flour supplier. If a child was hungry, she fed them. Period. Among the many children that orbited her stall was a particularly quiet boy named Taju. Barefoot, dust-covered, and sharp-eyed, he would linger around her stall every morning, watching customers come and go, licking his dry lips and pretending not to care. Mama Ifeoma noticed him for weeks. He never begged. He never smiled. He just stood, eyes fixed on the bread like it held the secret to life. One day, after selling a particularly large batch, she called out to him. "Oh boy, you want turn to statue? Come here," she said, waving him over. The boy hesitated, then shuffled forward. She handed him half a loaf and a sachet of water. "Eat, and stop looking like my village masquerade." The boy devoured the bread like it was his first meal in days. In truth, it was. And while his mouth chewed, his eyes glistened. He didn't say thank you. But Mama Ifeoma saw the gratitude in his trembling hands. The next day, he returned. This time, she handed him a full loaf. "If you're going to eat my bread every day, you might as well work for it," she said with a wink. And so began a partnership born of hunger and compassion. Taju started helping her arrange the bread, call out to customers, and even chase away the pigeons that tried to steal crumbs. He was smart, too smart to be living on the streets. Mama Ifeoma began to ask questions. Where were his parents? Why wasn't he in school? He dodged the questions like a skilled goalkeeper, until one day, he simply whispered, "They are gone." All gone. Her heart clenched. She didn't ask again. Instead, she registered him in a nearby public school. She couldn't afford it, not really. But she said, if bread can rise, so can a child. Every morning, after selling the first round of loaves, Taju would put on his second-hand uniform and march off to school. He returned in the evening to help her again. They were an odd pair, the stern, loud woman and the silent, skinny boy, but they fit like butter and bread. Years passed. Taju grew taller. His English improved. He started helping her balance the day's earnings and even designed a handwritten signboard, "Mama Ifeoma's Oven of Blessings." It hung proudly beside the umbrella. People began to take notice. Some said Mama Ifeoma had juju that turned street boys into gentlemen. Others claimed she was secretly rich. But she would just laugh and say, "N.A. only God they bless bread." Then, one fateful December morning, Taju vanished. No warning, no goodbye, just gone. Mama Ifeoma waited a week, then two. She asked around. Nobody had seen him. She even went to the police station. But they told her, "Madam, he's not your son. Let it go." But how could she? She had raised him like one. Shared more than just bread with him. She had shared her soul. Eventually, with time and tears, she moved on. Sort of. She still begged, still sold, but her laughter became a little less loud, and her umbrella seemed a little lonelier. 15 years passed. Lagos changed. Skyscrapers rose where sand once lay. Danfo buses got a bit shinier. And Mama Ifeoma got older. Her back bent more. Her hands, though still strong, trembled when she counted change. One rainy afternoon, as she packed up her stall, a sleek black SUV pulled up beside her. The window rolled down slowly. "Mama Ifeoma," a voice called, deep, familiar. "Sure." She turned. A tall man in a tailored suit stepped out. Clean-shaven, confident. There was something in his eyes. "Taju," she whispered, nearly dropping her bread tray. He nodded. "I searched for you for years. I went abroad on scholarship. I started a tech company. I never forgot you." She ran into his arms, sobbing like a child. Passersby stopped to stare. Even the rain seemed to pause. Taju took her home that day. But not to her one-room shack. To a bungalow he bought in her name, complete with a bakery in the backyard. "You made me who I am," he said. "Now let the world taste the bread that raised a CEO." He rebranded her business, Mama Ifeoma's Legacy Loaves. They opened outlets in 3 states within a year. Her face, once hidden behind dough, now smiled from billboards. She hired old women and young dropouts, training them not just in baking, but in kindness. "Bread without love is just flour and fire," she would say. The story of Taju and Mama Ifeoma went viral. Newspapers called it the bread that changed a boy. Bloggers called her Nigeria's mother of hope. One day, during a TV interview, the host asked her, "Did you ever imagine this? That feeding one hungry boy could lead to all this?" She chuckled, wiping tears. "My sister, I just didn't want him to die hungry. Look how God backed my destiny instead." Humor returned to her voice. She would joke with customers, "Be careful, oh. This bread can turn you into a millionaire." She began mentoring young women in markets, encouraging them to see business not just as survival, but as service. "Money is not in your pocket. It's in your purpose." Children would run to her stall, not for freebies, but for her stories. She told tales of courage, loss, and how one loaf can feed a dream. One of her favorite stories was of the boy who once said nothing, yet grew to speak on global stages. Taju, now Dr. Tajuddin Olaniyi, built schools in rural communities and named the first one after her, the Ifeoma Institute for Hope. He never stopped calling her Mama. Even in boardrooms, even on CNN. When she turned 70, he threw her a grand party in Lagos Civic Center. Governors came, celebrities came, but she only had eyes for the boy she once fed. At the party, she stood to speak. The room quieted. "I am not a special woman. I only did what every heart should do, see pain and answer it." Her words echoed like thunder through silk. As the crowd clapped, Taju knelt and placed her hand on his head. "From your hands, I ate bread. Today, I serve the world." Their story became a movie. Hollywood called, but Mama Ifeoma said, "Make sure they get my wrapper and slippers right." In her final years, she often sat in her backyard bakery, watching the dough rise, smiling at the ovens like they were old friends. She passed away peacefully at 83, her hands folded like she was still kneading dough in heaven. Thousands came for her burial, from senators to street sweepers. They all had one thing in common: Mama Ifeoma had fed them, one way or another. On her tombstone, carved in gold letters, were the words, "She gave bread. She gave hope. She gave love." Moral lesson: kindness, no matter how small, can sow seeds that grow into forests of transformation. The story teaches that simple acts of love and compassion, like sharing bread, can change lives in unimaginable ways. Mama Ifeoma's kindness didn't just feed a hungry boy, it ignited his destiny, turning him into a successful man who then impacted others. The story reminds us that helping one person can ripple into generations of goodness. Please like, subscribe, comment and share our video.